Hi everybody. Welcome to Pages on Stages. Yes. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good. Doing good.
Yeah, good. Okay, great. So, thank you for being here. This is our regular open mic that happens every third Saturday of the month. We do have some snacks available in the back. If you want to, they're donation based. If you want to get any after the show. The bathroom is the first door on the right, but we ask you that you don't try not to flush during a performance, just because we're in a small space. And let's see, any other logistics? Oh yeah, so we have a raffle going on. So everyone should have gotten a ticket. You haven't gotten a ticket, you can get one from Azalea in the back. We're gonna do the raffle at before we start the open mic, and we have some books that we're gonna raffle off. You can also purchase additional tickets for $1. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the library that we're in. So the Sims Library of Poetry is part of the Community Literature Initiative, which is a nonprofit that started from the idea of wanting to help poets publish books. Because there are a lot of poets that were out there at open mics, but they didn't have any books. So Hiram Sims is here today. Thank you. He started CLI, and one of the requirements for the class is to read a poetry book a week. And something that he found was that the students were having a hard time finding poetry books. And so he started bringing his own collection of 80 books in a suitcase, which is up in the front. The students would take a book and bring it back the next week, and someone was like, oh, hey, it's like the Sims Library of Poetry. And that was where the idea was born. So Hiram decided to open it up in his garage next to his house, and asked the community to donate books, and he got 2,000 books donated from the community. And then in 2020, the library was moved here, which was a former child care center. And now we have, I think it's like 7,351 books here on these shelves. And these were all donated from the community. It's all poetry. And we are supported monthly by donations, also from the community. And we have a Patreon, so if anyone is interested, there's a Patreon. The QR code is on the circle table, and also up in the front. We have different tiers. And if anyone signs up today, we have some books that we can give you. So you can get a selection of 5 free books that we have in the back. So if anyone is interested in signing up to become a Patreon member, just let me know, and then we'll get that started for you. Okay, so I think those are all the logistics. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Oh, and then also there is an open mic sign-up list in the back. I hope everyone signs up, and we're gonna share some poetry. We're gonna hear poetry from everyone after our featured readers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up I'm going to read a poem first to start us off.
Hey.
Yeah, and so this is a poem. It's called, it's not my poem, it's called Don't Go Into the Library, and it's by Alberto Rios. The library is dangerous. Don't go in. If you do, you know what will happen. It's like a pet store or a bakery. Every single time you come out of there holding something in your arms. Those novels with their big eyes and those no-nonsense, all-muscle greyhounds and Dobermans, all nonfiction and business, cuddly when they're young, but then the first page is turned. The donut scent of it all, knowledge, the aroma of coffee being made and all those books, something for everyone, the deli offerings of civilization itself. The library is the book of books. It's concrete and wood and glass covers, keeping within them the very big, very long story of everything. The library is dangerous, full of answers. If you go inside, you may not come out the same person who went in. Thank you. So you all, that was Don't Go Into the Library by Alberto Rios. So you're all gonna come out different tonight when you leave. Trust me. Up first, I'm really excited to bring up this poet. I've known him quite a bit of time. He's from the San Fernando Valley. I'm excited for him to share his poetry. I'm going to read his bio real quick. Iván Salinas is an undocumented poet born in Ciudad de Mexico and has lived in the San Fernando Valley, Tongva, Tativiam territory for most of his life. He received a BA in English Creative Writing from Cal State Northridge. He's the assistant editor at Drifter Zine, a publication highlighting artists of the 818 and beyond. He's a recipient of the 2021 Individual Artist Fellowship of the California Arts Council. His poetry and prose has appeared in Backlash Lit, Curious Publishing, La Raíz Magazine, etc. And Iván is a programs coordinator at Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center and lives in Panorama City with Maddie and their dog Rocket. So let's everyone give a warm welcome to Iván. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Great seeing you all. Thank you so much for coming. It's really cool to be back in this space. I was here about a year ago as well, and I had one of my first readings in here, so it's awesome to be back. I love the music intro. As Karo read in that mouthful of a bio, I am from the Valley, and this afternoon my grandma arrived from Mexico City. She's visiting, and she gave me this really beautiful bracelet that's meant to protect me from bad energies, and it's a blessing from her. And I thought that was really, really nice, and it was a really cool coincidence that the reading is happening right now, and unfortunately she couldn't make it, as there are other family members that she really wanted to see, but hopefully on Thursday she'll get to see me read. But these two poems that I want to read first are inspired on what it's like to be away from your family for so many years, and because of COVID, very recently, that line of communication is really just through phone calls, through what you can see on your phone screen. And they're both in Spanglish, so you'll hear some Spanish in there. But yeah, I'll go right into it. This first one's called Rayita en el cielo, which is from a phrase that my grandpa always tells me, that he'll draw a line in the sky every time that I pick up the phone, because it's like a miracle to him. Papa David will draw a line in the sky. Today is a miracle, and I've answered the phone. ¿Qué hubo, mi niño? Hasta que me contestas. ¿Estás trabajando? It's not my day off, but I'm driving back home, and there's time to talk. His voice is raspier than it was 8 years ago, when I last hugged him at the bus terminal that had taken to the airport for his flight back home. Since then, I've only heard his voice filter through metals, traveling through fiber optic lines and satellites. It's easier to communicate this way. It's easier than getting on a plane where you're asked for papeles. I ask him, ¿Cómo está mi mamá pera? Bien, hijo, ya sabes. He says, indifferent. Life is the same, siempre bien. For Papa David y Mamá Pera, it's my life that's constantly changing. Back home, in La Vecindad, my friends are all still children in my memory. But now they're all grown up, raising their families in the same rooms we used to play. Mamá Pera says La Vecindad will always be home, and it will be here for when I return. Mamá Pera is always telling me to pray, and I never do. But I know she prays for me, and that I do believe in. Mira, cuando tengas tiempo, tú dile a Diosito, échame la mano y verás que te va a ayudar. But I can't remember the last time I looked up at the sky and asked Diosito for any help. When I call Papa David over the phone, he wants to know, when am I going to make it? Why don't I apply for a job as a TV reporter for Univision? Because I don't want to be another anchor defending the state. And I changed the subject. I asked him if he's heard that the statue of Colón is being removed in El Paso de la Reforma, and they're replacing it with the statue of a mujer indígena. Sí, te voy a mandar unas fotos para que las veas. Ahorita tienen una réplica. Órale. Aquí también están derribando unas estatuas de las misiones. I'll send you some photos too. The statues inside the missions are also taken down in this valley. Papa David likes to brag there's Spanish blood in him. Mama Pera y Papa David forget we're of indigenous blood. Papa David walks around Tenochtitlan for me. He picks up some books and takes photos in La Plaza de Tlatelolco, and he reconnects with the ruins, and I'm there with him. While we wait for papeles and go to appointments and consulates and aduanas, with lawyers and customs, we only see each other's faces reconstructed in pixels. I tell Mama Pera she can visit while he waits for her. And I remind him, ya merito, ya verás, quizás yo te alcanza ya en unos años. Every time we talk, they're just happy to hear my voice. And I'm fortunate that they can hear me say, los amo, los extraño, los quiero volver a abrazar. While we wait, phone calls will keep us together. Pictures from Papa David will keep us connected to home, so I can still recognize it. While we wait, I will make time to answer the phone. Papa David, Mama Pera, I can draw another line in the sky. Thank you. Mama Pera, how I told you these gringos want to take away my money? Mama Pera, please don't blame me for not going to mass every Sunday like you. Mama Pera, I know I'm your baby's son, but sometimes I mess up really bad. Mama Pera, I'm happy to know you still have the energy to walk to the mercado. Mama Pera, the truth is I never liked school. Mama Pera, I still don't want to be a father at 24. Mama Pera, I can barely take care of myself, and I can prove it to you. Mama Pera, bad poetry is affecting my mental health. Mama Pera, I think I'm not as creative as I thought. Mama Pera, I want to talk to you every day, but I don't know how to. I don't dare to. Mama Pera, I don't want to make you cry because I don't believe that heaven exists. Mama Pera, when are you going to talk to me on the phone again? Mama Pera, are you proud of me or do you need to see me on television? Mama Pera, poets don't make much money, but I'd rather be poor. Mama Pera, I know you live one more day to hear me tell you that they're going to give me papers. Mama Pera, sometimes the güeros scare me too much, and I think they want to see me dead. Mama Pera, at the beach, there are too many mosquitoes eating my blood. Mama Pera, when you visit us again, I'm going to take you to a gabacho bookstore. Mama Pera, when you come back, we have to get our feet wet by the sea. Mama Pera, I wrote this poem in case you want to read it, but you have to look for it. Every day you ask me to pray to God before I fall asleep, and I tell you yes. Every day I pray. I pray for God to destroy this goddamn border, and he just doesn't want to. The wretched God doesn't make it rain paper so that I can go visit you. Mama Pera, when you ascend into the heavens, I hope you find God, smoking, enjoying a telenovela, and Jesus, seated at the right hand of God Father, judging the living and the dead. On my way here, we always had to go through the 405. So these are two haikus. The first one is called Crossing the Sepulveda Pass. Xihuitzíhuatl a través del parabrisas, pella al amanecer, tus ojos verdes despiertan. Summer in Venice, this hippie old sun spurts pimples on my skin. Blood hills form next to the ocean. This one is agua de Jamaica. If anybody likes here that drink, cheers. Jamaica leaves stains on my fingers. Jamaica stains the white mannequins of the boardwalk. It fills up the skater pools. Z-boy prodigies break dance to the beat before they cannonball into a red sea of Jamaica. On a sunny afternoon, a horizon of red oakwoods at sunset. The shoreline is covered in Jamaica, like blood on the palm trees of Venice. Blood stains the roots and the walls of the townhouse like the drapes of the Fox Theater. Sweet rivers of Jamaica flow through my veins. Sugar sand covered in blood red. The west coast is flooded and I drink it away. I want to read a poem from this literary magazine that just debuted last year called Raíz. The cover is a really cool artwork by Edgar Fernandez, and I think Elizabeth Montelogo won the contest for the book corner.
She's a runner-up.
Oh, she's a runner-up. Oh, okay. But it's a great magazine from San Jose, and I submitted a piece on the students that were massacred in 1968. They were killed by the word of the government, and the military themselves are the ones that carried out this massacre. And so the first part is in Spanish, and the second one will be in English to give it a bit more context. 68. Bajo los truenos de un atardecer, llueven balas al anochecer. Los de guante en blanco matan en vano, marchan en armas hacia la plaza. Parece ser ritual mexica, caída de la iglesia, luz verde de la bengala, anuncia el retorno de la guerra florida. Mira los cuerpos boca arriba, la lluvia, en sus bocas hace charcos. Sacrificio, con sangre de chamacos. Se acercan ya los barcos, con rifles los soldados, pisando suelos ancestros que presagian el fin de la batalla. Dentro de una jaula les diste una limpiada, la historia está marcada, huele a masacre la olimpiada. En el nombre de la patria me apuntas con tu arma. Yo, como John, alzo el puño, como Tommy Smith alzo el puño. Black fist and black glove, the Aztec Empire hails inside the stadium to the raised fist of American Olympians. In the memory of thousands disappeared, in the name of modernization, in the name of international sports, brown hand and white bandana wrapped around the palm of Mexican assassins, of students never to be seen again, unarmed in the streets. This chapter won't be skipped on a textbook. This chapter will be remembered every year in a march. The takeover of Tlatelolco, the dance inside the Colegio de Santa Cruz. Papa David tells me he learned how to play soccer there, in the same ground our ancestors were indoctrinated in Español, and they resisted the word of God. The bullets don't cease, and your fist remains in the air, while the helicopter above you flies like an eagle, scouting for the serpent. In the Plain Valley, where the press conference is held, Gustavo Díaz Ordaz says, "You will thank me later for the death of 1,000 futures. But this president was wrong. The revolutionary spirit lives on." This last piece is one that has some words in Nahuatl, which is the language of that the Aztecs spoke, and I was taking a few classes in when I was in Chicano Studies, studying it in at Cal State Northridge, where I went to, and it was just a way to reconnect with that lost history. And I wanted to express a poem that sort of had the feeling of imprisonment along with education and just being bombarded with canonical texts and realizing what white supremacy really means in the classroom. And so these are just 4 years of that trauma here. Momachtiani. Nomasi late at the Cal State Calmecac. The classroom door is closed. English only. Ni modo, me quedo afuera. Ni tlali a donde se pueda. Live in silencio in a hallway under surveillance. Daydreaming of summer break, I'm missing out on lectures of white noise I've heard 1,000 times before. Tomorrow's the final, and I'm ditching it for a better trip. Profe inundado en papeleo, ¿cuántas más lecturas amargas tendré que soportar para vivir infeliz next to the sea? A student runs out of class en llanto. I enter mid-lecture. La profe asks me for a valid excuse y le digo, I couldn't find parking. And she doesn't believe me. Her PhD trained her to smell an Isla Catini. She points me to the door and continues her postmodern lecture. Stepping on Sesavitum ground, I walk out to seek a spot and kill some time with smoke. Nopal inquieto. Deambulo los pasillos en el atardecer y me vuelvo amigo de patos y tortugas. Cargo mochila llena de amochtli y libretas. Hojas en blanco rellenadas con tinta negra that make up strange words. Mere scribbles to monolingual tongues. My thesis. Cluttered Roman letters and white pages till they die in each other's breath. Espíritus de momachtianis desaparecidos por el Estado piden muerte al matador. Tu jeta imperialista plasmada en mercadotecnia nos persigue en la red escolar. Mascota patriarcal, símbolo español, macho violador, once a bull killer, always a killer. Graduates through generations arrojan rosas en tu memoria. Y ninguna rosa es para los acribillados por tu espada. Momachtiani of the untenured Tlamatinime. 4 years and a half, I did my time for a BA in creative bull, due in my mailbox sometime soon. Once at Lamikti, always at Lamikti. Momachtiani, dreaming in Amat. Unchain my throat, I speak in tongues. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Iván. That was really great. Thank you for sharing your. Joseph, do you mind turning down the music? Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. I really love how you weave your personal narratives and also talk about the larger political structures. And yeah, a BA in Creative Bull. Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. So for our next poet, I'm excited to bring up Jessica Kim, who I just met tonight, I believe she's she's a high school senior, and she just she got second place in the Amanda Gorman Voices contest. So everyone, let's give her a hand for that. That's a pretty big accomplishment, and so I'm really excited to hear her poetry. So let me go ahead and just read her bio. Jessica Kim is a disabled writer and a high school senior. She is also the 2021-22 Los Angeles Youth Poet Laureate and a 2022 National Youth Poet Laureate runner-up. A 2022 Young Artist finalist in writing poetry and a commended Foil Young Poet. Her poetry chapbook, Light, was published by Animal Heart Press in April 2022, and her poems can be found in Poetry Magazine, the Adroit Journal, Frontier Poetry. Besides poetry, she serves as the editor-in-chief of Lumiere Review and the Polyphony Lit. Wow, very accomplished for a high school senior. I'm very much impressed. So let's everyone welcome Jessica Kim up to the mic.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for inviting me here. This is my first time at the Sims Library, and I already saw a lot of poetry books that are new to me and also I'm familiar with. So it's really exciting to be here and read poetry and listen to poetry with everyone. Yeah, so the first poem I'll be reading is titled Firework Girls. And like Iván, I kind of talk about my personal heritage and family and history in this poem. So let me just get into it. Firework Girls. Firework girls sashay down the sidewalks with ankles swollen like cherry bombs. Firework girls don't trip over candy wrappers on the floor. Instead, they throw firecrackers into the air, then run away from the explosion. Meanwhile, an army of explosive boys with beat on the tarmac, a parade to celebrate the beginnings of something greater than themselves. Meanwhile, I lay supine on a football stadium, humming anthems my father used to sing, ready to be trampled by a band of marchers, wielding their trombones and cymbals like weapons. I'm at a party full of firework girls, and the only one wearing jeans, the only one with glasses thicker than fences. The paparazzi thinks I'm exotic enough to live captive in his photo gallery, so he angles his camera at my eyes and gets angry when I'm not looking straight at him. All I see is the negative space of his body, and even his body is a mirage I create with my eyes closed. I am not like firework girls, which is to say I am more silent, more polite, more docile. Firework girls don't understand what it means to live off hand-me-down blouses and wallets without credit cards, just green cards that expire next month. Firework girls wear contact lenses as cosmetics. I wear them for survival. Firework girls raise their glasses in cheer, and one of the blonde girls extends a glass of tequila in my direction, an invitation to play pretend. Here, a masquerade of bodies basked in lavish light. Firework girls don't understand the tiger in my mother, the way she flares up when I mention the American way of living. At home, celebration is silent, all 5 of us pressed into a dining table for 4, too scared to turn on the TV just to see another shooting, another headline with 8 dead, 6 of them Asian women. At home, we eat rice cakes as a substitute for burgers, even on days like today when we can call ourselves American. At home, we forget, then remember everything in bursts, mother rocking my brother to sleep with Korean folk songs while I tried to unstitch them from my ears. Outside, the party never ends, fireworks booming in the distance, always mistaken for bullets. In the end, the firework girls will burst into sparks of light, and I will be the only one remaining in this landscape, waiting for the slow jazz dawn to rise. I am alone but not uninvited, no longer afraid of illusions, fireworks, my own girlhood. When tomorrow becomes today, I welcome myself into the party, humming melodies of rebirth. Thank you. This next poem I'll be reading is titled Guzzle for K. And with the guzzle, there's a repeating word, and the word that I chose was thinned, and there are variations of thinned, such as thinning or thinned with a hyphen connected to another word. And I was really challenged to think about what thinned could mean in different contexts. So it was hard, but also really exciting to write this poem. Ghazal for Kay. Last summer, Harmony moved to California, bone dried and thinned like seaweed on the kitchen counter. She asks why I have not thinned, fattened instead like a whale ready for slaughter, and blames the grease on American food. I want to tell her I am not American. Hunger thinned into the back of my tongue and unreceptive to the stench of modernity. The only word I remember in Korean is 시장, hunger, oceans thinned by extinction, a harbor split by upturned boats, famine kneeling in front of our bruised mouths. Harmony says 시장 also means market, thinned aisles of canned tuna and fake kimchi, the commodities of my past I want forgotten. What remains of my weekly allowance I squander on thinned cityscape portraits and white pearl necklaces. Maybe this is why Harmony mistakes me for an American girl, future Hollywood star. Foolish, thinned with dreams about origin stories. Yesterday it was about a father aspiring to be a mayor, also 시장. Today it is an elegy for my father, thinned white hairs as trench lines in warfare. Harmony reminds me of the Korean wars I have not seen, dynasties wrecked by bullets, history thinned inside the barrel of a rifle. The summer before my father's death, Harmony swapped his body with an aircraft, propelled it towards the Pacific thinned waves, escaping west. Midway, shipwrecks invaded his body, so I learned to spill his ashes on Californian seabeds before I had known the thinned calluses of his hands. This summer, Harmony moves back, says loss is too foreign. Alone, I unlearn 전쟁, war, the memories thinning. This next poem is titled The Inferno Leads All the Way to Home. And in this poem, I actually wrote the first piece, the first part of it, maybe 2 years ago around this time when it was wildfire season. And I wrote the second half of this poem maybe about a year ago, where I was really tasked to think about the oceans as someone who lives really close to the oceans, and I thought this poem was timely when I finished it, when I put these two parts together around April of last year in commemoration of Earth Day. I thought it was a pretty timely piece, and I'm happy to share it here. The poem begins with an epigraph that I will read. 90% of wildfires are caused by humans, according to the National Park Service. In 2020, global sea levels set a new record high, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. There is no escape from burning. Of course, you won't believe me. Blame it on natural causes, as if it were some divine intervention. A decade ago, I sat around a campfire watching my father poke at the flames with his matchstick hands, toss the bundles of firewood into the pit, my heart still attached to the timber. I try to say that the fires get worse every year, but I am muffled by the rising smoke, the squirrels and bobcats scurrying for refuge. This is what I mean when my love for all creations is static, immobile, mortal, covered in soot. I'm chasing an end to these fires. leading me to the end of the world where land meets sea. I catch a glimpse of a horizon without a shoreline, wired with asphyxiation. The fish calcified into bullets, drifting into a whale's body. The ocean is permanent and permanent and permanent, and how ironic it is to watch her eyes clouded by plastic candy wrappers, her hands stained gray with petroleum, her underbelly whitened like bleached corals. Sea levels are rising like never before, and so does my voice, my early morning song for memories spent on shorelines. Look, the sun too is rising, and I am no longer the only one here. There are children picking up every cigarette bud and candy wrapper as they hum the aquamarine tunes left by the sea. From afar, the birds return to the reincarnated forests. All the fires burned out. Watch. Together we can bring back every inch of our earth. And this last poem I'll be reading is titled Broken Abecedarian for America. I've read this poem out loud quite a few times, including at the Kennedy Center for the National Youth Poet Laureate commencement ceremony. Yeah, so I'm happy to read it in this space as well. Broken Abecedarian for America. America doesn't have a body, just the rupture from a pistol broken like a mother's backbone. One night, I returned home to find her collapsing into her own tongue, a second-hand language she bought for $1. Mother rinses her mouth clean, cleanses her face until it becomes an envelope for undelivered love letters. To love my country is not about forgiveness as it is about indifference, how I can sleep soundlessly with the glaring redness of a rocket. Outside, the sky is a deadweight, hole-punched by another bullet and not fireworks. Please, I want to indulge in history without retreating in pain like a crumpled newspaper jammed into the bottom of my backpack. Tonight, the mockingbird keeps me awake and afraid. Tomorrow, I will imprison myself, Los Angeles skylines wired into my palms. It's better than encountering myself in a mirror at the department store, girl fluttering her wings like a monarch, never reaching home, too fragile to be American. I can't help but become obsessed with the lipstick that's only worth 13 days of starvation, possibly less. At school, the fingerprints of girls on tabletops are countries quadrated into pop quizzes. To love my nation is to talk about one-sided revolutions. On the battlefield, victory. At home, a mother afraid of school shootings says, "Be careful," as if I am not already full. Tight-stomached, pulling my body closer to hers because it's the only unhardened object within reach. Unlike America, I inhabit a body I wish to vacate, and I know this isn't the answer she is searching for. I am defeated again when the syllables of the American dream vibrate like bombs ticking, ready to burst, xenon-smeared lips. If only I could contain the wholeness of a language in a poem, yellowed at the edges. To love America is to model my mouth into a fat zero, having nothing left to surrender. Thank you.
Wow.
So wow, Jessica, that was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all your poetry. That imagery, like my mind's like really blown right now.
Wow.
And use of forms, like yeah, I can't wait when you're famous and we can all say she was here at the Sims Library of Poetry. Let's be like the future Amanda Gorman. So up next, we're actually gonna have Hiram come up here and give us a mini poetry lesson, poetry history lesson. Okay, let's give it him.
Thank you for those late claps. Should have came a little bit earlier, but that's okay. First of all, welcome to Pages on Stages. And one of the reasons we wanted to call this mic Pages on Stages is because, you know, in the poetry community, sometimes people like to divide themselves into these two groups, you know, like one. And sometimes I feel like people like to divide poems that way, to say, oh, these poems are for the stage, and these poems are for the page. But one thing that we love and respect is all forms of poetry, whether the poems come to us on pages or whether we got people who love to perform on the mic, you know, so we welcome, you know, all the pages on this stage in any form that your poetry is in. So usually right before the open mic section, I always just like tell a little poetry history, you know, just like one short story. I wrote this book. It's not out yet, but it's called Read Every Day, Write Every Day, Inspirational Stories from the Lives of Writers. And so I just want to tell you one quick story. And this story actually comes from a writer that I actually know. Her name is Genevieve Rudolph, and she has a press called Mischievous Muse. So this is what happened. So she was in a writing workshop, and the workshop had ended, and she was in the parking lot on the mean streets of Pasadena. Hanging out with another writer named Michael Thompson. They were both a part of the workshop. And so they were just talking, and then it kind of like got dark and the street lights came on and like the parking lot was empty. They were talking so long. And then they were just kind of kicking it, and then he saw this pole that was about maybe 100 feet away. And he told her, I bet you I can hit that pole with one of these rocks, you know, like there was some gravel right here. And then she looked at that pole, and then she looked at him and the fact that he had no muscles, and she was like, bet money, you know, and you can't hit that pole. And he was like, $20 I can hit that pole. And she was like, let's do it, because there's no way it's gonna happen. So he bent down and picked up a rock, and so he reared back and he threw the rock, and he missed the pole by about 20 feet. And she just starts celebrating, right? She's gloating, singing. She's like, pay me my money, pay me my money. And while she's singing, he bent down and picked up 5 more rocks. And she said, wait, what are you doing? And he said, I never said it would take me one try. And then he reared back again, and what happened to her, she said, it changed from absolute certainty that he was going to fail to absolute certainty that he was going to do it, because he had infinite chances to do it. And so he threw the next rock, he missed, he threw another rock, that's when, he hit the pole. And so I just thought that was an incredible story to remind me and other writers that, things that you have wanted to do that you perhaps have failed at, you got more chances. Keep throwing rocks. Keep throwing rocks at the pole until you hit it. And when she talked to him afterward, he was like, I knew that I was going to miss it the first time, but the first miss was going to teach me how much to change direction to hit it. And he was like, if you notice, I was 20 feet off the first time, and then 10 feet off the next time, and then I hit it on the third try. And so that each failure taught him a lesson and actually brought him closer to the goal that he had. So I just take that to mean like that failure is important, and that rather than it making you sad or depressed, it's just calibrating you, a little bit closer to the goal that you're trying to reach. All right, that's my story. Back to you, Carl.
Okay, thank you, Hiram, for sharing that story. That actually makes me think of. That actually makes me think of submitting to literary journals, because that's pretty much like trying to throw rocks at a pole like 100 feet away, because the first time you submit, you're probably going to get rejected, and you're probably going to get rejected the second, the third, and the fourth, but eventually, if you submit enough times, you're going to get an acceptance, because that's what it is, and you're going to, also be, if you continue to write poetry, you're going to get better at it, and eventually, you're going to get accepted somewhere, you're going to win a contest, you just got to keep trying. I think that's a really important lesson. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with the show. We have 2 more features, and then after that, we're going to do the raffle, and then we'll do the open mic. So up next is a poet that I met at an event, of which I actually can't remember the name of the event, but I met her there, and she actually submitted to an anthology that I'm putting together that's going to be out soon. So Jennifer, Miss B. Baptiste, is a writer, school librarian, and voice actor living in North Hollywood, California. She was born and raised in Texas and is a second-generation American of Haitian descent. She loves creating lyrical, introspective pieces that resonate with the heart and mind to promote healing, empowerment, and curiosity. And she also was featured on our Poem a Week this week. So if you want to check out any of her poetry after this, she's also on our website. And it was a wonderful piece. And let's give a warm welcome to Jennifer Baptiste.
Hey everyone, good to be here tonight. So I'm really excited, and yes, I did meet you, Karo, at the Culver City Book Festival, and I was like, oh my god, that's her. I submitted to her press, I'm so excited, and she was just like, okay, hey. Yeah. So I'm going to be sharing a few poems with you guys tonight, and I'm very happy to share these poems here because, like someone else in the room earlier, this was also the first space where I had my first open mic reading, but it was actually in a backyard and near a poetry garage filled with lots of books and kids running around and cool people. So I'm going to start things off with my Poem of the Week poem called A Riddle. What am I? I don't have the luxury of being mediocre. My tresses are curled and kinked. My skin is darker than bronze and paper bags. And when I walk in the world, it devalues me at times without even knowing me. When I make contributions and receive accolades and do 2 times the effort of others, I only receive the bare minimum after interrogation. I have my mind stripped and forced into strength, time and time again. Who am I? I'm amazing. I'm the best of the best. I'm worthy. I'm resilient. I'm enveloped in ethereal radiance, outperforming and finely pressed. A pillar of fortitude on a foundation of vulnerability. Not because I tried to be, but because the world meets me in a way that makes me so. I feel like that piece, is just to inspire you guys to just operate in your resilience and your confidence. This next piece is called Panama City. I had a bit of a challenging year, and it just really took a toll on me physically and emotionally, and I really had to get away. And so I got to go to the Caribbean with my relatives, and it inspired this piece called Panama City. Some worries got a little too heavy to carry in my mind and in my heart. So I put them away and spirited with my elders to cobblestone roads, vine-entangled fences, and causeways lined with palm trees in a metropolis by the sea. I learned lessons with my elders as we engaged over feast of frescas, yuca, black beans, and fruit, while I sipped on sancocho minus the pollo and took in great wisdom. With one elder who preferred a pale lager, and the next who always refused the martini if it didn't come with Grey Goose, and another who insists 9 a.m. is never too early for margaritas. The 60-year-old said, "Don't live in the past. If you have a problem with someone, say it right then. Don't wait." The 70-year-old said, "Do your thing, boo. You skinny in the front, but not in the back. And if a man is at least 60% good, take him. You can work with that." And the 80-year-old said, "Life is too short to carry the pain." And most other things he can't remember because his mind is drifting away. With that knowledge, some of the pain became a little easier to bear in my mind and in my heart as I left my worries in Panama City, receiving lessons as I ascended with my elders on cobblestone roads, vine-entangled fences, and causeways lined with palm trees in a metropolis by the sea. So this next piece was inspired by a prompt with Drifter Zine's Disrupt. And it was like, yeah, get angry, call out the man. And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. But I'm not really that much of an angry person, so I did my best. So I guess this is me sticking it to the man. And this next piece is called Systemically Free. I thought I had nothing to be angry about. I thought I was free. Enslaved in the cage of my mind and the restrictions placed upon me that I couldn't see. I thought my kin preferred the south side and the outskirts of town. As a young girl, my mother drove me across bayous and bridges into nice neighborhoods on winter nights. I would say, "I want to live here." And she'd say, "Black people can't buy houses here." At that time, I couldn't see the deed restrictions and the access denied to me. I thought diabetes, strokes, eczema, and heart disease ran in our blood. I was an adolescent with frequent rashes who could walk to the liquor store or the nail shop next to the strip club by the chicken spot, but never to the supermarket miles away across the busy highway. I wasn't aware of the grocery gap, food deserts, and nutrition charts that weren't made for someone with ancestors like mine. I thought cancer, hormonal problems, fibroids, and dying young were common with the ladies in my family. As a young woman, I watched my mother's thyroid get removed from cancer, my aunt's hair loss from chemotherapy, endured my own monthly pain, and witnessed the miscarriages of my cousins. I was ignorant to the chemical disruptors in our hair and skincare, with Eurocentric standards of beauty ingrained in me. I thought you had to register months in advance, only vote in one space with a bill as proof of address, and 2 forms of ID. Entering adulthood, I went to the voting center and forgot my registration card at home, and was turned away from the polls, hoping that I could make it back in time to the booth with everything required to vote. I didn't know about suppression, district lines, and legislation made to disempower me. I thought I had nothing to be angry about. I thought I was free. Now I can see chains and shovels were traded for policies and pens, feeding illusions of what it means to be free. All right, you guys, so I'm just gonna close things off with this last piece. I guess to just offer a bit of encouragement. I remember Karo mentioning earlier about, we're throwing rocks at these presses and publications, hoping to get accepted or that someone will, like our work. And I just felt really inspired this morning to write this piece, and I'd love to share it with you guys today to give you hope. It's called Written Works. Why do they only pick the bad stories? The broken, battered parts of us. Our bruised egos and lonely nights. Our dark humor, weird kinks, and vulnerable pieces of our souls scattered across the page like water droplets after a torrential rain. Maybe the bad stories are a testimony. The broken, battered parts are obstacles that we've overcome. The bruised egos, lonely nights, and vulnerable pieces of ourselves, maybe they display our strengths and the lessons that we've learned perfectly encapsulated through the written word. I guess they aren't really choosing our bad stories. They're choosing our desire. They're choosing our courage, our wisdom. They're choosing our hope in our written works. The stories that say, hey, I can see myself in you too. They're choosing our relatability in the written word. Right on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That piece, Systematically Free, was really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing and for being here with us tonight. So up next is our last feature, Jimmy Vega, who I also met at the Culver City Book Fair. I guess that was a day of building connections. We tabled next to each other. So it was like the Sims Library and Beyond Baroque were right next to each other, and we got to talking, and we were like, I was actually read at Beyond Baroque last month, and then it kind of worked out that I was able to bring Jimmy here today. It's for the Sims Library of Poetry, so building relationships with different literary organizations across Los Angeles. And I'm excited to hear their poetry tonight. Jimmy Vega is a child of Mexican immigrants, a Chicanx, Los Angeles born and raised poet, writer, educator, artist, and curator. He holds a BA in English with a concentration in creative writing from UCLA and an MFA from the School of Critical Studies creative writing program at Cal Arts, where they co-created the MFA in Creative Writing's Hyperlinked Reading series. He is the assistant director of Beyond Baroque and Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center. Let's welcome Jimmy Vega.
Thanks, Carl. How's it going, folks? Thanks for being here. This is exciting. It's my first time at Sims, so it's special to get a chance to read here tonight. This is an oldie. You know the rest. Persimmons. Sticky fingers prickling persimmons, marigold like crinkled, crackling leaves on pavement, or blood on terracotta. In my grandmother's cornea, one with golden hair, now graphite, She smiles at me from afar, from across lawns on Abbott Road, and I think of my cousin Jorge, who was secuestrado by men with masks or crooked teeth in Michoacan streets, summer and stone. Did he cry when he was hungry? Did they bust his lip with semi-automatics, and did he pray for my Madrina Lupe's arms around him? 4:16 a.m., cold like gray or wet clay in the arroyo, while sticky fingers clenched for God or blood. Pupils christen in blindfold, crawling over gravel and glass, like kissing ground in service of forgiveness or darkness. A woman walks on Beethoven Street, cradling cempasúchil flowers, and frowns at me as I taste iron and ash from burning Los Angeles. Sunlight hitting glass, color of persimmons, and I wonder if my cousin Jorge tasted tierra or if he just quivered his sticky fingers, reaching for another cigarette. 6:14 a.m., cold like silent streets or pavement in the city he calls Patria. All right, we're gonna try this one. Another oldie. Collapsed lung. He lay in a hospital bed, tethered to swelling pain, tangled in blue, on machines casting sigils, shifting shadows, shattering sleep. Did you dream melatonin dreams? Did you dream of me? Rhythmically twitching flutter of iambic convulsions, irises, color of undertone, half tucked in bed, morphine kisses, staggered sighs, whimpers like mousetraps, hydrocodone, half smiles, stumbling eyes, sumatriptan, somersaults, cold smell like wet linoleum, drowsiness like a flickering street lamp. Monitoring frayed breaths, pulsing heartbeat, keeping tabs, haphazardly harassed by wires. My brother, he's getting an echo today. Your boy's body, lanky, 16 years old, slipping into crescendo whispers, dreaming of phosphorescence. Thanks, folks. This next one, the title comes from a text message my friend Damien sent to me. It also is going to have a refrain of "for no reason at all," and I've already forgotten the song. It's a borrowed lyric from Roar's title track song, "I Can't Handle Change." This one's called "Listening to Your Playlists While Driving Made Me Feel Like I Was in Your Car Again Going Around LA." Driving the 5, thinking of Damien for no reason at all. I hold his surrender inside the back pocket of his iris. Ways he hurt himself to bury a dead name. Dark sleepy eye, acquiesce shapeshifter. I miss the color of his grogginess. Taiwanese night market rummaging for his mother's shadow and dizzy streets of burgundy bone broth, warm salt and ash tucked in no light. I'd reach for the fishbone stuck in his throat if he let me. Driving the 5, I scream, suffocate my goddamn self past Griffith Park, thinking of Damien for no reason at all. I hold his smile inside the trunk of my under the influence, self-aware pity, mirrorless gaze haunts me. I wonder if I ever gave Damien enough of my love. My love. I hope you're okay in the bay. I hope you don't stumble around searching for your keys in the morning. For no reason at all, I suffocate myself only to recall October sunset embers, fire-burnt mid-city late drives, and swallowing ash. Probably could have died if I made that right lane switch. Heard your voice instead. I've been trying to find you inside a Merwin poem. A later piece without punctuation. And it's the saddest ones who have the raspiest voices. Why'd you leave me in a city that is constantly burning? Driving the 5, whispering to myself, who's Judas in all of this? Thinking of Damien, for no reason at all, I stroke my lament till it becomes prayer or sacrilege fragment. Are some of the old colors still there? I've been searching for you between quintessence and dusk. Have you finally collected your teeth? That line, are some of the old colors still there? That's a Merwin line, borrowed. Thank you, folks. Here's a New York piece. It's called, and just to give a little bit of context, there's a mention of Kant for those who read German philosophy, and just to give you a refresher, he's famous for the one-line clause, act only in accordance with that maxim, through which you can at the same time will that it become a universal law. It's just basically the golden rule, if you know, do unto others, right? Shadow slow dance without me. When you tell me about the time you escaped on midnight freeway to the bay, I choke the categorical imperative to feel something. You tell me you did this, 20-something lost without me to feel something. I'd rather talk about sticky spit and palms, both clean and un. I'd rather be engulfed in your dark brown eyes and be quiet, glimmer whisper. What color was its dashboard lights, a green lit candelabra that haunts me? The inside of a car is only sacred if you dust your secrets before sleep. Something about coming clean always felt pink slime dirty to me. August inertia flowering portentously, except you're invested in my coming home or else intentionally resting the muzzle of my paranoid schism. Kant's user-friendly laundry list is not doctrine, but perhaps in alignment. I only act in accordance with that maxim when I forget to caress my dark cherry rage. Agonized by the golden rule and Catholic anguish, I unabashedly surrender Sunday morning unrituals for photographic telepathy. I can hear your eyes smile in glitter. When you tell me about that time you broke away on midnight freeway to the bay, leaping, I tongue-tie myself towards acceptance or else forgiveness, only in ruminating silence. Driving in graphite ought not to be confessional, shadow slow dance without me. Dilated pupils in low-light periphery, my three-lettered name unremembered inside the hum of his engine. I can't not unchew Kant's independent clause without salivating perpetual dark brown-eyed glances in proximity. You ever whisper it in North Beach fog? I ask. Not you, but my egocentric syllogism, as if keeping your palms clean mattered. How many times did you laugh passing the overpass, shadow play without me? Without appreciation for blurry dark palmettos swaying in low vibrational symphony, smiles trapped inside a dark coffin space. Tell me again how this has nothing to do with sacredness, beneficiary, only until Kantian ethics make you shed tears. How many times did you unshroud your vulnerability to demarcate a previous pattern, forgetful one-syllable name, mine? Thanks, folks. No fun, no love. Bludgeon the cop in your head, mousetrap to the dome. Your dead won't hold you. Dos ex machina, come, crash into me. This isn't an axiom, cerebral car crash in silver streets. Someone asks if I really like the Dodgers, while you breastfeed the one that survived. It always comes back to Foucault and the proliferation of surveillance, you watching me, watching you, watching my own death on TV. So what if I'm no fun anymore? Define praxis or agape or gargantuan. Define my long list of confessions, my brief prayers, my sacrilege sacrifice. Yes. Maybe your absence is a presence. Maybe my sleep-deprived molcajete eyes are rummaging for honest sleep. Can't find a decent parking space on the east or the west side. Can't find the little halo tucked away in my conglomerate lethargy. On South Pasadena Ave, palms a-glittering, Santa Ana's blanket my private vigil. In a city of parking lot infrastructures, it isn't enough to try and find you. Yes, this is an apology, but in the Aristotelian sense, Flat Cherry Coke, Bad Day, Hood lyric, a new American classic. Whisper it. On Great Salt Paloma, 108th Street, owls at dusk are pantoums perched on palms. They too forgive. I love that the sirens are in the background because it's reminding me of Beyond Baroque a little. But, so I think, maybe at this point you'll recognize that I write a lot about driving and a lot about Los Angeles. Here's a cento. This is the form of the poem. Essentially, it's just a collage of different lines from poets ranging from Doug Kearney to Carlos Lara. So none of these lines are my lines. I just put them together and made a poem. Steal this poem. Dear LA, I am sorry for your dear. In the infinite city, it's so late, it's early. Ghosts I lifted along the turns of wandered roads. How could someone give you back yourself? A poem is a gesture toward home. When I was dying, I didn't bother filing my income taxes. I missed the song of the purple plum. I want 1,000 days of sun. Can't wait to be sprung from shadow, to be known from a hole in the ground. My mother said, it is better to dream that you are dead than to die of all the dreams that invent you. We were discussing Yeats. I don't think psychoanalysis shrinks the spleen. Molten car hoods and the freeways of California fall. The past should go away, but it never does. I can see for a long time the melancholy wash for the setting sun. If I die and all I have are these fucking poems, my performance to achieve the effects of life through all uncertainty, of course poetry is not for reading. Mere words are homesick. Mere words are halo. I was practicing trumpet while drowning. I couldn't find comfort in the words of loss. Aches got a cinematography to it. I don't even have to steal your words. You give them to me for free. Thanks everyone for being here. A big thank you to Hiram and Karo for inviting us. Please donate, give your money to Sims and keep literary Los Angeles growing. This is my last poem for the night, and this poem, wrote it during the 2020 uprising. It has a borrowed line from the band called Dangers, and the line is, "We're choking on words like pig." The vocalist from that band wrote a song called Loose Cigarettes, and he wrote it when he found out that Eric Garner was murdered for selling loose cigarettes. The title of this poem also is a remix or a take back of a line from Walt Whitman's When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed. His line is Song of the Bleeding Throat, and this poem is called Song of Bleeding Throats. Thank you, Iván, Jessica, Jennifer, it was a pleasure. This one's called Song of Bleeding Throats. Los Angeles is on fire. Scorched streets toned in Technicolor and rancid cempasúchil ash. Someone lights a cop car in flames. Tear gas kisses my cornea, tickles my throat like razor wire, rattling my lungs, and someone baptizes me in cool milk. My face drips. Someone punches a cop and I make a wish. Hands outstretched, open palms, searching for God or loose cigarettes. I can't breathe on Fairfax and 3rd. I can't breathe with a fist down my throat. I can't breathe with my face kissing pavement. I can't breathe in sleeper holds. I can't breathe in tobacco-stained roads. I can't breathe with the baton licking my spine. I can't breathe with pepper spray coloring my iris. I can't breathe when we're choking on words like pig. I can't breathe when rubber bullets hemorrhage my prefrontal lobe. I can't breathe when I'm too busy coughing up a lung. I can't breathe when my face is buried in tierra. I can't breathe cuando me amarran la lengua. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Carbon monoxide tints the air green and someone holds an ACAB sign. I can smell burnt fingertips reaching towards lit canisters. I can't breathe and it ain't the fucking face mask. Someone says the dumpsters in Santa Monica are a lot nicer than the ones in Venice. The 405 southbound slack and slightly overcast. Green freeway signs scribbled in post-semantics. I keep driving 95 on the 405 before I reach inside my epidural hematoma just to taste the fever of my city persimmon in afterglow. I can't breathe in Los Angeles. My breath arrested. My voice cyanotic. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, let's give it up for all those poems and those poems. That was incredible. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Jimmy, for that last poem. That really, I was there for the 2020 uprisings on Fairfax and 3rd, and that brought me back to that moment. Thank you for sharing that, and the other, like, all the language was just beautiful. I'm very inspired right now. And so we're gonna keep the show going. We're gonna do the raffle, and after that, we're gonna do the open mic. So does everyone have the raffle ticket ready? Because we're gonna do the raffle. And there's 4 prizes. There's 4 books. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull the first ticket. I'm gonna read the last 3 numbers. 188. Oh, congratulations to our first winner. Would you like to come up and grab your prize? Because you're the first one, so you get to choose. You get to choose which book we have. Just so everyone knows, we have Night Sky with Exit Wounds by Ocean Vuong. We have Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Ramkeen. And Baby, I'm going to mispronounce this, Baby Exololots and Old Porchos by Josiah Luis Aldurete and Latinx.
I'm an old portrait.
Here you go. Perfect, thank you.
You need it?
No, you. Congratulations. So next one we got, okay, I guess I didn't miss this too well. It's 187.
Right here.
Bingo.
Yeah, come on up. You know which book you would like?
Yes, that one.
This one? Okay, we got 2 more, everybody. Let's see, let me mix these up. And, okay, 204.
That's me.
Oh, okay, I can't see back here. But come on up. Oh, that Elizabeth, hey. Do you know which one you'd like?
I have Citizen already.
Here you go. Congratulations. Okay. We got one more for Citizen by Claudia Ramkeen. Let me see. Who's going to win this one? 203. Woo! Okay, here you go. Congratulations. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the open mic list and I'm gonna call up the first person. First up on the open mic is gonna be Connie, and on deck is Camille. So let's welcome Connie to the mic. And we're running a little bit behind time, so let's just do one poem. Thank you.
My name is Connie Johnson. This is my first poetry open mic. And I'm enjoying it. It's very nice. I started I originally started writing poetry in I don't want to say how long ago that was. But anyway, I was inspired by my first love. When the relationship broke up, I stopped writing poetry altogether. But then in 2020, my interest got revived again. So here we are. Okay, I wake up and write poems. That's what time has done to me. Plenty of time to reflect. That's the problem. Awash with memories. Rocking the boat will make you drown in regret. See what you made me do? Stay focused. I'm ready to spill all of our secrets to any old couldn't give a damn, because that's what poets do. We tell things, we spill things, we reveal things. You can't trust us with what you don't want told. Blunt as Bukowski, sleek and slinky as Angelou. It's a poet's gig to tell things, even if it's just to an audience of one.
Thank you so much, Connie. This is your first open mic ever? Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to join us here tonight. I love that. So up next, we have Camille, and then on deck is Linda.
Hello, I am living for this music. You're doing a great job. My name's Camille. I'm Long Beach based. I'm a poet and crochet artist. This is my first time reading this specific poem out loud in front of people. I wrote this in a workshop last year, and our prompt was to invent a form. I really thought I was onto something. I thought I invented a new form. Went on Twitter the next week, saw a poem in the same form, so that's okay. But basically it's a 4-part erasure. Also at this time, I was thinking a lot about gender identity, and it was a very all-consuming experience for me, and so I think you'll see that in this poem. It's called Erasure of the Affirmation. When my acrylics click, clack, pap, I feel like a bad bitch, but everyone calls me ma'am. I went to see a rheumatologist. A bad bitch got inflamed joints. The male nurse kept calling me miss. I miss the days when whiteness hadn't yet kissed us. Kiss is generous. I miss the days before the assault by those who get off on salting the wounds of their most despised possessions. We were who we were, and that was perfect, whole, complete. I remember life outside of this body. It comes in my dreams. It dances between the chest voices of Shaka and Whitney. I am nobody but the backs of those who came before me. Lacerated and flowering like honeysuckle trees, I am every woman, neither man nor woman. I devour all in between. I am everything the universe has to offer on a silver platter, sneaking bites in between. Taking bites of flesh, the fingers of honorable guests trace boxes around me. Everyone calls me bad bitch, inflamed joints, kept calling me generous. I miss the days before the assault. We were perfect, whole, complete. I remember life, body, dreams, dances between voices and nobody, backs lacerated and flowering. Honeysuckle woman, neither man nor woman, I devour the universe. On a silver platter, flesh, the fingers, honor me. Everyone calls, kept calling, generous, assault, perfect, complete, remember, body and nobody, woman neither nor, woman devour, silver platter, flesh, the me. Assault complete, body woman, woman devour me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Camille. That was a really incredible erasure poem. I really enjoyed the repetition of honeysuckle and devour. Thank you for sharing that with us. Up next we have Linda, and on deck we have Lisbeth.
Wow, wonderful. I've been here before, but this is my first time reading here. This is fantastic. I love Sentence Library. And if I can see a bit of a context, this poem I'm intending to call on some ancestors in the Caribbean. We call our ancestors duppies, so you'll hear that word. And this piece is about a conservative MP in England whose family built the first plantations in Barbados, brought the first Africans and enslaved them in Barbados, and now that he has inherited it, he's refusing to turn it over to the nation. So, wanted to write to that. Draxhall Duppies. A reminder to Richard, Grosvenor, Plunkett, Earl, Drax, British MP, owner of Draxhall Plantation, Barbados. Hopefully, it's slow enough. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a short one, so perfect. Yes, thank you very much. Okay. 1. Erasure was complete, or so we thought. Individuals, names, drowned along with tribes, suffocated in stench of slavery, mutilated in the grind of sugarcane. Royal-owned enslaving ships, coining and abusing, self-named aristocrats preening in plantation, scarring and burning alive, ashen or lineage. 2. Erasure was complete, or so they thought. We didn't know of Caribs, Arawaks, Taino, severed from Fulani, Hausa, Dogon, the Igbo, Medinetjer, hieroglyphs far across the sea. We were generations of no eyes, silently booed those who started to see. Like George Lamin, he spoke the word African, claimed continent as kin. 3. Erasure was complete, or so we were taught. We fared 20th century speech at our national stadium during a day of Carifesta. Us, little England, raised high on false buoys of Britain's ancestors. Those who tacked, jibed, laughed at the sound of our folly, mumbled fools under breath as we preened in falsehoods, ignorance, molasses and grog bliss. 4. Erasure wasn't complete, and our ancestors don't forget. We may have stiff upper-lipped the whole, dark plantations, weighted heavy with power, breaking bone, drawing blood, burying blood. Not anymore. We honoring forebears in public places, names known, Bussa, Clement Payne, some lost. Our duppies are churning under sugar cane, hundreds, roaming the place they hold in history, walking Obia, marking that trail from Parliament to plantation and back. What is that you say? It has nothing to do with me. All that family history. You're James Drax, Prince of Barbados, 600 acres, 300 Africans first time out. Here we say, Lord Richard, we coming for you. Remember, you can't rub we out. Erasure done. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. For that powerful piece and bringing your ancestors into the room as well, and that history too. So up next we have Elizabeth, and on deck we have Vicente.
Working on this piece, so bear with me. Asphalt people. 1. Los Angeles doesn't spare. Tourist teens from Oklahoma on their way to Rose Bowl lean on shuttle bus window for a chance to see the spectacle. Asphalt people. Darkened skin with grime and abandonment, swollen ankles, oozing calf, eyes lost in the mystery of this urban horror. 66,000 faces of displacement, couch surfing, gym memberships for personal hygiene, naked person running down the street on San Pedro and 17th, a grown man defecating on the crosswalk on Bellflower and Artesia, prosecuted mentally ill in the cells of the Twin Towers, an old woman dragging a carry-on along Marina del Rey Beach. Like refugees in South America, in the South American Andes, at 16,000 feet over sea level, asphalt people push their shopping carts loaded with disappointment and helplessness. Only there are no border crossings into hope, because there is nowhere to go. Asphalt people, refugees on their own land, madness, no passport out of this nightmare. It takes a special kind of greed to not hear voices, angry voices wanting to end this schizophrenia of contradictions, Bugatti riding past homeless encampments, the delusion of democracy, the dissociation of an economy built on free labor, the psychosis of using 400-year-old strategies to keep women, people of color, mentally disabled, seniors, physically disabled, trans women, unhoused, and excluded from the benefits of the privilege, unbalanced and medicated. Worse yet, intoxicated by the venom poured onto this concrete reality, amphetamines and alcohol bastards should be in jail, prying on the most vulnerable. 2. Pawn my soul to a bank for a chance to live on borrowed safety, a mortgage that will outlive me. Woman screamed, ungrateful to my face for not kneeling before her God, for not praising that who saw incest and turned away, that who saw abused and turned away, that who saw abject poverty and turned away. How dare I have what she doesn't achieve as a white woman in her lifetime? Because for a displaced immigrant like me, the expectation is to stay on the ground, paying rent punctually with increments of 5% every year, or those displaced by gentrification, property flip on the side of exploitation, traditional neighborhoods invaded by young unmelanated people calling themselves pilgrims. Gentrification doesn't happen without official complicity because they'd rather walk over or around a schizophrenic woman on Figueroa, call her crazy, offer her used clothes to cover her naked breast, bring soup in a van, than give her a chance to permanent housing rather than celebrating her resilience and persistence. When an individual suffering from mental disorders pulls herself together and claws her way out with only part-time jobs, a paycheck at the end of the month feels mighty good and doesn't have side effect. Let me say that again for those in the back of the room. A paycheck at the end of the month feels mighty good and doesn't have side effects. Did you hear me? We don't need no medication. We don't need no mind control. We need meaningful work and decent pay so wealth can slowly build up so we can pay forward with affordable housing for low-income Angelinos. Part-time jobs with decent pays is our way out of the concrete jungle, cleans the asphalt from us. We need a chance to dignify life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisbeth, for sharing all that truth with us. That's it's an incredible poem. Thank you. Up next, we have Vicente, and then on deck, we have Set.
Title of this poem, Quat Le Que. Quat Le Que, creator of heaven and earth, where the womb and the grave coexist. Divine feminine power who gave birth to the moon and the stars. Great Mother of God, buried alive, only to be rediscovered and buried again. Banned by the church, she frightened and enlightened at the same time. Skirt made of snakes, who gave birth to Huitzilopochtli, god of the sun and war. Huitzilopochtli, goddess of feminine power. You will not be forgotten. You will not be silenced. You will rise again to celebrate life and welcome us upon death.
Oh, thank you so much for that, short piece, but really, really powerful. Up next, we have Set, and then on deck we have Anastasia.
What's the deal, y'all? It's all good.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go by Set, Diversifier, and I'm here to diversify the way that you've been trained to think. Here to tell you a vivid story with words so simple you might miss it if you blink. Repeat. I'm a poetical savage, yet articulate and lavish, so just close your eyes, sit back, relax, and just imagine. My grandfather, standing at 6'4", with the allure of a hooper who salutes men of war. A man who realized you don't have to have wings to soar. A shooting star that brightened up the sky of every room he entered as soon as he walked through the door. And if you covered your eyes and made the most extravagant wish, there's no way that you could even possibly ask for more. We challenged him to be the perfect granddad, and he did all of that plus more. I'm sure that you understand. He stands at the ready position, waiting to lend out a hand. He aims at the target, no matter whether it's a family member or their friend. The distance doesn't matter. He always found the grace and precision to hit the bullseye and fixed everything that he can. He calculated the wind, the terrain, the distance. There was no obstacle he couldn't withstand. He was a true marksman, shooting down all the problems the family had. He was a dad. Well, not just to his own kid, but he was the whole community's pops. He had an open door policy. Just imagine it's like a house with no locks, and the house is marked with an X and circled as one of everyone's common route stops. Anyone could come over any time of the day, no matter if they were happy or sad. They talked to and hung out with Dad, and then he graduated from being a dad into a granddad, and he was still bad. The king of pop couldn't even outshine him with the diamonds on his gloved hand. And I remember being in the front yard with him playing catch while he placed the baseball glove on my left hand. He threw a football to me as I ran. He took us camping in the mountains and in the snow, and even at the beaches so we could play in the sand. He was the man. Yeah, all up and down the street, you could see it in his walk, you could hear it in his talk. He was our rock. They even called him the Uncle Phil of the block, and it's true. I'll never forget how cold you were the last time that I hugged you. Tears running down my face, I put my hands over your face to close your eyes, your hands at your side. My eyes haven't quite convinced my mind. All I'm feeling is chills running down my spine. I'm looking at you laying the last place that you'll ever lie. This image chiseling at the monument of you, and my heart collapsing to the floor. A piece of my soul died. This must be what it sounds like when doves cry. What it looks like when angels die, what it feels like when your heart runs dry. But we will never forget your shine, your story about your sky hooker, how in high school you helped me create a pop-up book, or how in the middle of your sentence you would always hit us with a sniff and the look. I'll never forget your laugh. All of the fishing trips, the boat rides, the camp drives, how y'all thought I was lost when I went on my beach bike ride. You being the butt of all of Casey's infamous, that's what she said lines. How I slept with you in your bed until the age of 25. How you thought Peyton was a perfect gift from the divine. And I'd be lying if I said this wasn't the hardest thing that I've ever done. Saying goodbye to the man who shined brighter than the sun. Dreading the fact that I had to hit those military processional guns. But if I could tell you just one more time, just once. I love you, old man. Ashe. Appreciate y'all. My name is Seth. I go by Seth the Versifier. I used to go to Hiram's house when he was doing poetry workshops in his crib in like 2011. He probably don't remember me. I seen him walk out earlier, so he don't even know I'm here. But I just wanted to come pay respects to this space. It's been disrespectful for me not to so far. So appreciate y'all for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Seth, for coming here and gracing us with your poetry, and that's a very beautiful tribute to your grandfather. I'm like a little teary-eyed, so thank you for being vulnerable with us, and I'll be sure to tell Hiram you were here. I'm sure he'll remember you. Up next, we have Anastasia, and then on deck, I'm gonna close out the show. So I'm on deck, and Anastasia's next.
Hi, oh my goodness, it's at the right height for once in my life. I'm wearing heels, so like I'm 4'11" and a quarter on a good day. So like I'm like 5'2", I'm a supermodel, people. Sorry. I'm just really excited, and Set, like that poem was like, I'm like, man, I have to go after this man. Whew. It was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I loved it, and everyone else too. I wrote a book that came out in July. That was a lot sadder than I thought it was, but all the feedback is that it's devastating, so I'm sorry. If everyone who's read it so far, I'm sorry for all the tears. But I have a poem called A Notice for My Mental Illness. A notice for my mental illness. You stabbed the soft tissue of my trachea. Claws scaled the cliffside where my larynx meets my esophagus. And for a moment, I pretend you can't hurt me. In your doomsday kit, you arson a fire. Choked smoke signal smog my breath. My heart seizes as fierce flames demolishes the only exit. I stutter, stumbling sentences, wobbly words weak, reduced to repeating my regrets, overwhelmed by the inferno of living. You annex the slump of my shoulders. My chest implodes under the pressure, lighting up my whole body in the wake of your burning bite. I am so tired. So you tuck me in charcoal. Exhausted embers refuse to sleep. Today, though, I scalpel you out of me. I crush your windpipe. Watch you fight for breath as I fight for breath, because I'm sick of how sick you make me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who read. I'm gonna go ahead and read this piece. This is a portrait of a father as a river, and I guess just a little context. I was inspired by all the form poems that I heard tonight. So this is a ghazal, and I'm also I'm writing my next book, and it's gonna be a series of portraits, like both portraits and self-portraits, and it's in the works, and this is one of the pieces. So, a portrait of a father as a river. My father says, a river flows in my genes. A river cannot be understood, only experienced. A poem is a river. My father has no house, only a boat. He has no land, only a river. We don't breathe the same air. We don't bathe in the same river. Tears walk me away from home. Tears lead me to a river. I have too many thoughts, not enough fathers. A river is not a parent. The soft gurgle of a stream can't be compared to a river pregnant with a mountain's rain. I can't be compared to a river swimming in my blood. Replace river with father. A father is a foreign river. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for coming to Pages on Stages. We're gonna try to have this open mic every third Saturday of the month. So I hope you can join us again in September. Feel free to hang around, chat, connect with people whose poetry you really liked. And we have snacks in the back. And if you want to, feel free to take some. But if you want to donate, we have a suggested donation list as well. And yeah, thanks again everyone for coming. Oh, and then last thing, if I could have the featured poets, if you're still here, come up and I wanted to take a group photo. Again, thank you everybody, and enjoy the rest of your night.